What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'll be talking about 10 drivers who could join the Cup Series on a part-time or full-time basis in 2025. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. At the end of the 2024 season, there's going to be a ton of silly season moves that most likely are going to take place. And there's a lot of drivers in the lower series that could move up, that have been in the Cup Series in the past, that could move back up the Cup, or drivers who've never been in the Cup Series before that could go Cup Series racing in 2025. So today, I'll be talking about 10 potential candidates who could be drivers that run in the Cup Series in 2025. So now, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. The first driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith has made select starts in the Cup Series before, but currently runs full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Joe Gibbs Racing. And so far this year, Chandler Smith has been the championship favorite. He's had 2 wins so far in 2024, those coming earlier this year at Phoenix and Richmond, and has been the championship points leader for majority of this season. And Chandler Smith, in my opinion, is one of Toyota's highest prospects going into this offseason and this silly season because Toyota really loves Chandler Smith a lot. So if Chandler Smith is move up to the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025, where could he go? Well, I think there's 3 really big opportunities and options. The first team, of course, is Joe Gibbs Racing. There's always that chance and possibility that Martin Truex Jr. could retire at the end of every single season, but Martin has stated publicly that he's going to wait a little bit longer till maybe closer to the end of the season to make a decision whether or not he's in fact going to retire. But I think that there is a chance and possibility that Martin Truex Jr. does in fact retire at the end of this season. So I think Joe Gibbs Racing is a very good option for him. They're a really strong organization at the moment. They're one of the organizations to beat. And I personally do believe that Chandler Smith is the most Cup ready of any driver in the lower series currently at the moment. The other teams that we could see Chandler Smith potentially go to, one of those being 23XI Racing. There's a lot of talk that 23XI Racing could expand at the end of the 2024 season, especially if charters do become available for them. And there's a lot of rumblings that Stewart-Haas Racing could buy a charter at the end of this year. So sell a charter, I should say. So I think that Chandler Smith could be candidate if 23XI Racing could perhaps get in there, perhaps. So I think Chandler Smith definitely could go to 23XI if Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't become available. And then, of course, you do have another organization like Legacy Motor Club. Legacy's been reported that they also want to potentially expand in the not-so-distant future. So I think if Chandler Smith goes Cup Racing, it'll either be with Joe Gibbs Racing, either 23XI, or maybe Legacy Motor Club. Nonetheless, I think there's a really good chance and possibility that Chandler Smith will be moving up full-time to the Cup Series in 2025. The second driver who could move up to the Cup Series on a full-time basis in 2025 is Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen is currently under contract with Trackhouse as a development driver, and we know that Trackhouse eventually wants to move him up full-time in the 2025 season. SVG is running full-time this year with Kaulig Racing in the number 97 car, and I think that Shane Van Gisbergen overall has been doing a good job so far. He's had 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s, but realistically, he should have a win that coming at Coda earlier this year. Unfortunately, kind of got robbed and screwed out of that win. And I think SVG's been extremely consistent. Yes, he's 15th in the points right now, but I think he's been doing a really great job. He, of course, also is making his Super Speedway debut in the Cup Series side of things in his first non-road course start in Cup this weekend at Talladega. I ultimately think that Shane Van Gisbergen will be a Cup driver regardless of the funding or not. So where does he drive? Well, I think he's going to be with Trackhouse Racing in 2025, and I think it's going to be in a third Trackhouse Racing entry, that being the number 97 car. That, of course, is a car that Shane Van Gisbergen runs in Xfinity with Kaulig Racing, and I think that's the number they're going to choose. I think that Trackhouse is going to acquire that charter either from Stewart-Haas Racing, who is rumored to be downsizing, or they're going to acquire it from another organization, that being Kaulig Racing. Considering the partnership that Kaulig and Trackhouse have together currently at the moment, I think that's another potential team that could end up selling their charter to Trackhouse Racing, because I think Kaulig's been struggling a bit. If they want to get their program a lot better, I think Trackhouse would be the team to sell it to because of their partnership they've had in the past. So I think Shane Van Gisbergen has been doing a really, really good job. I think he's been getting better and better as season progresses, and I think he is going to be contending for wins on ovals in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024 by the end of the year. And obviously he's going to make a lot of starts at the end of this year in Cup, and there's probably going to be more races announced in the not-so-distant future for SVG to race it. So I think Shane Van Gisbergen has a really great chance and opportunity, and I think he could be moving up to Cup in 2025, regardless of the experience. I think of how big of a name he is now. I think Shane Van Gisbergen could be moving up to the Cup Series in 2025. The third driver who could move up to the Cup Series in 2025 is Cory Heim. Cory Heim has been in the Truck Series over the course of the last couple of seasons, and last year only had 1 or 2 finishes outside of the top 10. And so far this year, if I'm not mistaken, Cory Heim, I believe, is finishing inside the top 10 in all 7 or 8 Truck Series races this season, and is basically has a 3rd or 4th place average finish through the first 7 or 8 races of this year. On top of that as well, Cory Heim is a reserve driver for both 23XI Racing and Legacy Motor Club, which we're going to get back to in just a second. I think Cory Heim is absolutely Cup ready. He's got the talent and he's got the capabilities to be up front on a week-by-week basis. And you look how well he's generally done in the Xfinity Series as well with Sam Hunt Racing. He led laps at Richmond. He's been up front a couple times. He's qualified very well on the short tracks for Sam Hunt Racing. So I think of how well he's been doing so far, I think there's a great chance that he does move up. Now, what teams does he go to? Well, I think there's only 2 organizations that I think Cory Heim will go to. That'll either be 23XI Racing or Legacy Motor Club. 23XI Racing, like I said, he is a reserve driver for that organization. And Cory Heim, of course, like I said, is reserve. But I think that if they do expand, I think that they're really going to want him if Chandler Smith does not become available. And Cory Heim, in my opinion, like I said, is absolutely Cup ready. The second team, like I mentioned, is Legacy Motor Club. We've heard some rumblings and reports of Legacy Motor Club is among the organizations that's shopping around to potentially expand. And I think a big reason is because of the hype that is surrounding Cory Heim at this moment. I do think, regardless of how Cory Heim does the rest of the year, I think he is going to be a Cup driver. I think he still is a championship favorite for the Truck Series currently at the moment. But I do truly believe by the end of 2024, it is going to be announced that he will be joining the Cup Series on a full-time basis. I think he's no doubt ready at this point. I think Cory Heim will have a good chance and possibility to move up in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. The fourth driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time basis or part-time basis in 2025 is Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst currently drives the number 98 car for Stewart-Haas Racing, but has also made select Cup Series starts for Farmer Motorsports and Rickware Racing. And to his credit, at least on the Cup side of things and those select starts on super speedways, I think that Riley Herbst has been absolutely impressive. He's been up front on a week-by-week basis in those series. He's gotten a couple top 10s, I believe, up to this point, and has led some laps. On top of that as well, when you look at the Xfinity Series, I think that Riley Herbst has improved drastically in the last couple of years. This season, it seems like it's a little bit off compared to how it ended last year, but he still, I believe, is in the playoffs at the moment right now. It has been close to winning a few races so far in the Xfinity Series in 2024. Now, where could Riley Herbst go to in 2025 if he was to move up? I think one of the organizations is not Stewart-Haas Racing, the Wood Brothers. There's a lot of talk and rumblings of Harrison-Burton. We're not even sure what the future is going to look like for Harrison-Burton past 2024. Obviously, of course, Harrison-Burton's under contract for this year, but there's a lot of frustration and growing tension with him being at the Wood Brothers and not performing. So I think if they wanted to get someone in there who brings sponsor and funding to the table, I think that would be the team to go with. You've also got Rickware Racing as a possibility for that 15 car. Obviously, the 15 car is not a full-time entry for just one guy. They usually run multiple drivers in that car on a year-by-year basis. I think Riley would be a really solid foundation driver to go to. He still is relatively young, only being around 24 to 25 years old. So I think that we could see Riley Herbst be a candidate and a potential possibility to go into the Cup Series next year. And I think it'll either be with the Wood Brothers or Rickware Racing. I think that's the team that most likely will pick him up. The fifth driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis is Cole Custer. Now, Cole Custer has been in the Cup Series in the past. He ran there full-time from 2020 through 2022. And let's be honest, at his time with Stewart-Haas Racing, he did not do amazing. Let's be perfectly honest. But since getting back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, I do think that Cole Custer has done a pretty solid and a pretty good job with Stewart-Haas Racing. Obviously won the championship last year in 2023 and also has been doing pretty well this year so far. While not being the favorite for the championship, he still is a championship 4 contender at this point of the season. I think that Cole Custer has a really great chance to move back up the Cup next year if performance continues. He could go to Stewart-Haas Racing if they don't sell a charter. That is certainly a possibility. But I think that you got to look at RFK Racing, that number 60 car. You also got to look at the Wood Brothers as well. And I would throw out Rico Racing as another team that could pick him up for 2025. Now, do I think he's officially going up? Not entirely sure at this point. But I do think there is a strong chance and a possibility that if he continues to perform really, really well, though, yes, I know he struggled in basically the Cup Series, but I would love to see him maybe get a chance and opportunity to go back Cup racing again. I think he would do an all right job, and I think there would be some solid and good performances with this team. So we'll see what ends up happening with him, but there is a chance that Cole Custer could move up the Cup, and I think he's a fifth potential candidate for a Cup ride in 2025. The sixth driver who could move up to the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Hailie Degan. This is definitely going to be a really bold one. And I'm going to note this, I don't have her going full-time in 2025 because I don't think Hailie Degan is absolutely ready to make the jump up full-time to the Cup Series. But I think part-time is actually very, very realistic. Let me explain. Hailie Degan, while yes, she has struggled in the Xfinity Series so far in 2024, I feel like she's starting to be a little more consistent on speed. She was running really well at Texas. She did have some other good runs going. She ended up bouncing back, getting a top 25 in Martinsville. So I think she has been improving a little bit. Now, where she could go on a part-time basis. Well, I think the Wood Brothers is a potential possibility, at least part-time, if they decide to go with a multitude of drivers next year. You've also got maybe potentially Rico Racing and RFK Racing as well. I think with the sponsorship funding that she brings, I think a team is going to be looking for that. Hailie Degan next year will be 24 years old. So she'll be a little bit older for a rookie if she was to move up. But I don't think she's going to move up full-time. But like I said, I do think at least part-time in 2025, she's going to be in Cup in some sort of capacity. I've predicted that she'll make her Cup debut in the next few years. And I think it'll happen by 2025, where she in fact will make her Cup debut. And I think she will make some select Cup starts at some point in 2025 in a team like Rick Ware or potentially the Wood Brothers or another organization like RFK. The seventh driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Matt DiBenedetto. Now, Matt DiBenedetto is probably the longest tenure veteran on this list. Matty D had a lot of experience in the Cup Series, drove for teams like BK Racing, and of course driving for Levine Family Racing, drove for Go Fast prior to that, and also drove for the Wood Brothers and had a ton of success with the Wood Brothers. You compare him how Harrison Burton did, and he has outperformed Harrison Burton in every single stat and spectrum really at this point. Now, Matt DiBenedetto obviously would need sponsorship funding if he was to move up the Cup, but where could he drive next year? Honestly, I think he won't be full-time in 2025. I think he'll likely be part-time in 2025, most likely with the team in the Ford camp, because obviously I think they're trying to get him to be back with Viking Motorsports full-time in 2025. We kind of saw a report that kind of said that he's looking to maybe run there in 2025, that being Viking Motorsports. But I would look at an organization like RFK Racing or maybe Rico Racing as the most likely places. Matt DiBenedetto is a very talented driver, and I think he should be making Cup starts at this particular point. He deserves to be in the Cup Series, and I think he would do a really good job if he was, in fact, back in the NASCAR Cup Series, because I think he's been doing solid in the lower series up to this point, was getting the best out of the rack lower equipment, and we know for a fact that they were trying to put him in a Kaulig racing car this season. So I think that we could see Matt DiBenedetto move back up, at least on a part-time basis, not a full-time basis by any stretch of imagination, but I think at least in 2025, he'll be probably in Cup on a part-time basis, as I am predicting at this moment. The eighth driver who could join the Cup Series in 2025 is Austin Hill. Austin Hill currently drives full-time for Rich Schultz Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, driving the number 21 car. And so far in 2024, he has been extremely consistent. Outside of having those issues in Martinsville where he got involved in a wreck that really has not been his fault, he has finished in the top 10 in all the other races this season. And he's led a lot of laps and has already scored 2 wins so far this year. On top of that as well, he has made select Cup Series starts for Richard Schultz Racing in the number 33 car. He made a season debut last week at Texas Motor Speedway, unfortunately finishing last due to power steering problems, and it was just announced a couple days ago that he is going to be driving the 33 car at Kansas, and he has 2 other races scheduled for the 2024 season. I would expect it probably won't be Gateway because obviously they're going to be in Portland, but I think there's a couple other races they have planned for that number 33 car this year. there is a chance he could go full-time at Cup in 2025, especially with some people that are suggesting this. There is a chance that Austin Dillon could retire at the end of this year. Austin Dillon is going to be 34 at the end of this season, and Austin Hill is a little bit younger than Austin Dillon, but not much younger. Now, obviously, I think if they was to move up to full-time to the Cup Series, they're going to have to change the number for him to move up there. But I do think that Austin Hill, of how much talent he has and how good of a super speedway racer he is, especially if super speedways coming into play, I wouldn't be surprised or shocked of how much Richard Childs loves Austin Hill. I think there will be a chance and possibility that he moves up to the Cup Series next respective season. So I think the latest will be in full-time as 2026, but I think there's a chance he'll be at least part-time in the 2025 season with Richard Childs Racing. I think that's going to be the team that he ends up truly driving for in 2025. The 19th driver who could move up to the Cup Series at least part-time or full-time is Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer, in my opinion, is one of the best prospects going through the ranks currently at the moment. In the last 20 or 25 Xfinity Series races, he has scored 5 victories, all of them coming with Junior Motorsports. And I think there's a lot of hype still surrounding Sam Mayer. And Sam Mayer is still relatively young. He is only 20 years old and won't turn 21 for a few months. And I think it's no secret that a lot of people would love to see Sam Mayer in the next couple of years move up to the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis. Now, where could Sam Mayer drive if he was to move up? Well, I think if Junior Motorsports finally decides to move up Cup racing in 2025, which are some rumors and speculation that we could see Junior Motorsports maybe make a jump up next year, if they can't acquire a charter next season, I think that's where Sam Mayer goes. Sam Mayer, in my opinion, is a very, very talented race car driver, and I think he would gel with the Cup cars very, very well. And like I said, despite being in Xfinity now for almost 3 or 4 years, he's been doing a really good job so far, and I think Sam Mayer is absolutely ready to make the jump up of how much talent he has. I think there's a good chance of possibility, maybe calling as well if they don't sell a charter off, but I think Sam Mayer, with how much talent he has and how much capabilities he has, I do think that Sam Mayer is in the running for Cup ride next season if he continues to improve on a great basis. I think he'll lose to be part-time for sure, but I think there is a chance he moves up full-time in 2025. And the 10th final driver that I think could join the Cup Series on a full-time or a part-time basis in 2025 is Conor Zillich. Conor Zillich, in my opinion, is one of the best prospects coming through the NASCAR ranks at this moment. And this might be a little bold considering that Conor Zillich is not even 18 years old. But look at all the things that Conor Zillich has accomplished. He won the Rolex 24 in LMP2. He won the Sabre in 12 Hours in LMP2. He's also made his Truck Series debut and finished inside the top 5, despite having issues. He won the Cars Tour races, basically in the Cars Late Model Tour Series. He's going to make more truck starts. He's going to make select Xfinity Series starts with Junior Motorsports. And I don't think he's going to go full-time racing in the Cup Series next season, but I think he's going to be part-time in maybe a Project 91S Trackhouse entry. And I would love to see him make his debut maybe this season, but I do think of how much talent Conor Zillich has. I think there is a chance he moves up to the Cup Series in 2025. He's very, very talented in my opinion, and he's going to be 18 years old next season, but I think he's got all the capabilities and the talent in the world to be moving up in 2025. I think he's got a chance, and I think he'll be either Junior Motorsports or a part-time Trackhouse entry. So those are the main 10 drivers who could move up. Well, I'm going to talk about 5 honorable mentions who could move up as well. First one is Jesse Love. Jesse Love's part of Richard Childs Racing. I think there is a chance if Austin Hill does move up to the Cup Series full-time next season, I think Jesse Love is in the running for a seat with the 33 car. Yes, Jesse will be like 20 or 21, but I think he's talented enough to make some Cup starts. I think he's in the running to get a Cup seat at some point. Next one's Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon's got sponsorship and funding with him. He's made starts this year with Colleague Racing in the past, and I think that they are going to want to move him up back again if he brings a sponsorship. I know he's been struggling with Rackley this year, but I don't think he'd do great in Cup, but I think he's in the running for a Cup seat as well at some point. Third driver, Roger Caruth. Roger Caruth's under contract at Hendrick Motorsports, and while I think it's a little bold to predict, considering he's only made a few Xfinity starts up to this point, I think Hendrick Motorsports really likes him. I think Roger's in the running for a Cup seat at some point. Next one's Cam Waters. Cam Waters has been rumored to be driving for RFK Racing in 2024. He's making a couple starts at Thor Sport Racing this year. I think that he has a chance to move up in 2025, especially for the Australian movement that's been going on in the U.S. I think he could move up. Finally, Sheldon Creed. Sheldon Creed's part of Joe Gibbs Racing's team, and I think that Toyota really likes Sheldon Creed, even though he's kind of struggled so far this season. So I think there's a chance that Sheldon Creed could move up, especially with the sponsorship funding that he has at this moment. So those are 10 drivers who could join the Cup Series on a part-time or full-time basis in 2025. Well, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, let's go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What drivers do you think are going to move up to the Cup Series part-time or full-time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later today, the channel, I'm going to have paint schemes for the Talladega weekend, and I've also, if Xfinity Series qualifying doesn't get rained out, there'll be reactions to that. Then tomorrow on the channel, tomorrow on the channel, you're going to have Xfinity Series reactions, and Sunday, if the Cup Series race is not getting rained out, you'll have reactions to that. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.